It really is crazy to think that it's been 25 years since Pokemon introduced its first shiny Pokemon at the Lake of Rage. As a kid, surfing up to the Gyarados and not knowing what was about to happen truly was a special moment in mine, and I assume most, if not all, Pokemon players' lives back in 2000. The idea of a Pokemon potentially being a different color was never a thought that crossed my mind, but when a red Gyarados appeared, everything changed. If you're new to what a shiny Pokemon is, it's actually quite simple. Take a Pokemon you know and recognize and swap the colors. Such a simple thing became so impactful for so many players. To own multiple shiny Pokemon or a shiny of a beloved Pokemon really became a status symbol. Since its introduction in Gen 2, the hunt for shiny Pokemon has been a big part of many players' playthroughs, and myself included will sometimes brute force my way through a game just so I can begin certain hunts. So, you may be asking yourself, how do you obtain these coveted shiny Pokemon? Well, over the years, a ton of methods have been introduced and developed, optimized, and so forth by the community, and I'll cover the major breakthroughs as there are countless methods to shiny hunt. To help go over these methods, I've asked my good buddy WretchedPKMN to lend a hand.
Hi everyone, my name's Wretched. I've been shiny hunting for about 3 years now with a combined total of 4,000 hours full odds hunting and about 300 hours method hunting. It's been an important goal of mine to help get people into shiny hunting and to make the community a more welcoming and accessible place. I think an important part of this is helping people understand the math and statistics behind shiny hunting, as many people lack understanding, even those that have spent thousands of hours hunting. I'll be briefly touching on a few ideas in this video, but know that I'll be making a video going into more detail in the future. Quick disclaimer that in this video, I'll be doing a bit of simplifying and rounding when it comes to the math and numbers. Things are a lot more complex on the back end, and much of what I say will be more of a practical view rather than a technical one.
Let's take it all the way back to the year 2000. Generation 2 officially introduces shiny Pokemon to the world and full odds hunting hits the community. Way back when, shiny odds were a staggering 1 in 8,192.
With most people not having access to the internet or other resources at the time, the only way most knew to get shinies was to just encounter Pokemon over and over, with each having a 1 in 8192 chance. Funnily enough, I didn't even know shiny Pokemon existed during all the time that I played Gen 2 as a kid. The red Gyarados from the Lake of Rage was just that, the red Gyarados, not a shiny. Shinies had a unique way of generating in Generation 2. Unlike later games, a Pokemon's hidden stats, called DVs, ended up determining whether or not it was shiny. To put it simply, the collective chance that you encounter a Pokemon with this specific set of stats ends up being 1 in 8192. However, Gen 2 also introduced breeding. Once again, to keep it simple, when breeding 2 Pokemon to get an egg, there are ways to get your parent Pokemon to pass on some or all of their hidden stats to their child Pokemon. This allowed you to improve your shiny rate to varying degrees, going as low as 1 in 64 under the right circumstances. The existence of something to improve your chances birthed what would eventually be called method hunting, and just encountering Pokemon over and over at the unmodified chances was labeled as full odds. For the sake of brevity, I'll just call anything that artificially improves your chances method hunting. On a small note, starting in Generation 3, shininess was no longer tied to a Pokemon's stats, but rather it involved a math equation involving hidden numbers relating to your trainer and the wild Pokemon. This meant that breeding to improve your chances of getting a shiny was no longer an option, making Generation 3 the only generation where there's no way to improve your in-game chances of a shiny.
Fast forward a few years to 2007 with Generation 4 and the community was introduced to radar hunting, thus increasing the odds of getting a shiny drastically. One of the most popular methods to hunt ever, the Masuda method, was revealed to the Pokemon community by the Game Freak director Junichi Masuda. He revealed that bringing 2 Pokemon from different real-world regions would increase the odds of a shiny Pokemon hatching from the egg.
Radar hunting was the first accessible method hunt introduced in Pokemon. It's likely the developers wanted to create more interest in shinies, given that the only people that would hunt at this time were more dedicated, long-term players of their games. Radar hunting allowed you to chain consecutive encounters of a particular Pokemon and caused your odds to improve with each. The odds started at 1 in 8192 and then slowly exponentially increased until your chances were at 1 in 200 at a chain of 40. The Masuda method was also introduced as a way to encourage players to network outside of their region. By trading with someone with a game of another language, you gain access to significantly increased shiny odds when breeding with that and one of your own Pokemon. This added 4 extra chances at the time, improving your chances to 5 in 8192, or about 1 in 1639.
Heading to 2012 and the world on the brink of destruction, we see the release of the Generation 5 sequels, and the shiny charm was introduced, which drastically changed the shiny odds from 1 in 8,192 to 1 in in 2,731. In order to get this shiny charm, you need to complete the National Dex, which is no easy task. At this point, and for the rest of the future of Pokemon, obtaining shiny Pokemon gets significantly easier, and some members of the community surely felt this lowered the value and status of a shiny Pokemon.
The shiny charm basically added 2 extra chances to each encounter once you had the shiny charm in your inventory, meaning it was 3 in 8192, which simplifies to 1 in 2731. Furthermore, past powers were introduced in these games as well. Lucky Power 3 in particular added 1 extra roll to your shiny odds when encountering wild Pokemon. And lastly, the Masuda method gives you 1 more roll than previously, so your chances are now 6 in 8192 or about 1 in 1365. The shiny charm and the Masuda method could also be combined to provide 8 in 8192 chances or 1 in 1024.
Jump a year forward to 2013 and the 6th generation releases and another huge change to shiny Pokemon occurs. Shiny odds are cut in half. 1 in 8,192 is changed to 1 in 4,096 and shiny Pokemon are everywhere now. Gen 6 introduced Horde Hunting, which involves using Sweet Scent to spawn encounters with 5 Pokemon, thus giving players 5 chances at a shiny as opposed to a single encounter. You can encounter Hordes without Sweet Scent, but it is a slim 5% chance. Chain Fishing is also introduced, which is fishing and encountering the same Pokemon for improved odds.
The reduction of the shiny chances to 1 in 4096 was an attempt by the Pokemon Company to further make shiny hunting accessible to the average person. They didn't just want a small percentage of their players shiny hunting, they wanted everyone who played to be getting shinies. Chain fishing worked similar to radar hunting in that for each consecutive encounter of the same species of Pokemon, you'd improve your chances, and after 20 encounters, your chances would be approximately 1 in 100. On the subject of horde hunting, interestingly, many Full Outs hunters labeled this as a method hunt. It's still up for debate today, but what is certain is that seeing 5 Pokemon, each with a 1 in 4096 chance to be a shiny, or 3 in 4096 with a shiny charm, sped up the shiny hunting process pretty significantly. However, note that only a select group of Pokemon appeared in hordes, limiting the pool of Pokemon that you could hunt this way. Lastly, the Masuda method continued to provide 5 rerolls, but the base rate of shinies increased, giving you 6 in 4096 chances, or 8 in 4096 with a shiny charm, aka 1 in 683 or 1 in 512 respectively.
3 years later in 2016, the 7th generation of Pokemon was released and the shiny hunting community developed SOS hunting. So in Sun and Moon, when you battle a wild Pokemon, there's a chance that the wild Pokemon will send an SOS to call another Pokemon to come to its aid. When you begin a chain doing SOS hunting, your shiny odds drastically improve to 1 in 315 without the shiny charm.
Similar to chain fishing and radar hunting, SOS hunting had a progressive and incremental increase as you prompted more and more SOS summons. This starts at the base odds, of course, and maxes out after a chain of 31.
6 years later in 2022, and the final method of shiny hunting we'll go over today is actually a mix of methods. So in Scarlet and Violet, not counting Legends Arceus, Outbreak and Sandwich hunting was introduced and optimized. Outbreaks will randomly occur throughout the day, which will spawn the same Pokemon in mass, thus allowing players to chain together KOs that will get you more rolls of the Pokemon at 20, 40, and 60 KOs. Scarlet and Violet also introduced the Sandwich method, which sounds crazy, but you can make certain sandwiches that will increase shiny odds. It's pretty busted, and combined with an Outbreak, you're not guaranteed a shiny, but you'll most likely find a shiny.
In a further attempt to make shiny hunting more mainstream, a lot of highly accessible methods are seen in this era. Outbreaks would allow you to more easily target one Pokemon specifically by ensuring only that Pokemon appeared in the area, and then knocking out a number of Pokemon from that outbreak incrementally improves your shiny odds. After 60 knockouts, you gain 2 extra rolls, improving your chances from 1 in 4096 to 1 in 1365. The shiny charm provides the same bonus of 2 extra rolls, and then lastly, the shiny power from sandwiches adds 3 extra rolls. Combined, you can achieve 8 in 4096 or 1 in 512 chances. Also note, there are sometimes events that happen to improve your chances even further, in combination with these other methods, allowing you to achieve about 1 in 100 odds at certain times. Also note that in Generation 8 and 9, they attempted to add yet another roll to the Masuda method, providing 6 extra rolls, or 7 in 4096 chances, but to put it simply, due to a glitch, one of those extra rolls effectively never happens, so it's an extra 5 rolls still, but at least they tried. But most importantly, and something we've entirely ignored for this whole video, is how fast you get encounters. In earlier games, encounters were typically a pretty slow process. You run in the grass, you run away from the Pokemon, and then you encounter another, totaling 12 to 16 seconds average across most games per encounter. Or you encounter a static Pokemon, often Legend legendaries, and then soft reset your game with encounters as quick as 12 seconds in some cases, but also some as lengthy as 30 or 40 seconds or more in some cases. This frequency at which you encounter Pokemon is just as important as the shiny chances. Generation 9 was the first main series games, excluding Legends Arceus if you want to count that, which allowed you to see shinies in the overworld. Because of this, in Scarlet and Violet, you're able to check 10 to 15 Pokemon every 15 seconds or so. This increased rate of witnessing Pokemon has more of an impact on the rarity of shinies than the base chances do in this case in particular. Even if the odds were 1 in 16,000, you'd still see shinies much faster than most other Pokemon games. Funnily enough, I've even heard people say that Scarlet and Violet can't be full odds because you simply get shinies too fast. I wanted to mention that other ways of speeding up shiny hunts outside of the games are often considered method hunting as well, and we didn't talk much about those, although that's a pretty heated debate right now. Even when not changing your base game odds, many people believe the rate at which you organically encounter a Pokemon in each game is also a fundamental part of the idea of full odds, and everyone wants to call their hunts full odds if possible, as it carries a bit of weight and popularity to it. Because of this, methods like RNG manipulation, multiple consoles, and speeding up the software are also common ways of circumventing the time commitment of full odds hunting a shiny. As much as I want to go on about this and have more to say, I'll have to expand on that in the future video.
In my opinion, these were some of the biggest shiny hunting methods introduced by the developers and further optimized by the community. But in terms of hunting, there are countless ways to hunt, some easier, some harder, but the way you choose to hunt the shinies is completely up to you.
If you want, you can catch me shiny hunting almost every night at twitch.tv/WretchedPKMN, and thanks for watching.